Twitter, YouTube. I guess I'm streaming to multiple places in the world right now, or multiple platforms. I'm not sure if I love this tech yet or not. I think this tool is messing with my mouth audio sync, so I'm trying to work out that problem. Apologize if that's the case for you watching this, but we got to try stuff in order to figure out what's going to work best for us. So here's the deal. Today, I want to talk about this interesting thing, and this is something I've actually gotten a lot of experience with, a lot of positive and negative experience with, actually. And that is that opportunity worth it, right? Is it worth it for you to pursue this thing that feels awesome? It's a big idea. You could change the world, or at least change your world, or your financial future, or help these people, or whatever it is. And like you have a real shot at being able to create that environment because of an opportunity that's here. Maybe it's a connection that you just made, and somebody's like, dude, I got this, you got this. Like, we should meet up and do this thing, and let's blow this out of the water, right? That happens a lot in this internet connected world, right? But here's the deal. Sometimes that's really, really good. I've got projects right now that are beautiful. They're fantastic. Some of them are even really slow moving, but I'm still really excited about. And there's other ones where I just want to crawl in a corner and die, right? And it's got to do with a couple of different variables. So what I want to talk to you about is like how to evaluate that opportunity and how to really understand the dynamics that you're not thinking about when you're excited about the possibility. Now, I've always had this attitude, and it's served me in some ways and not in others. It's been a double-edged sword for sure, but it's this Richard Branson idea of like, say yes and figure it out later, right? And that's really great. It's a really great attitude for you to get outside of your comfort zone and for you to start exploring things out of your bubble right now. It's actually a fantastic way for you to stretch and grow and move in different ways and gain experiences that are going to help you through the process of, going through opportunity, right? But there's also a point where it creates diminishing returns and where it requires other things to be functional, right? So I don't want to say that the concept is broken or that it even has a limit, but it does have to evolve as you evolve. So that hasn't been the perfect way to do anything, and there is no perfect way to do anything, but there's a few things that, going back with some of the opportunities I've been involved with, I wish I would have understood some other aspects of it, right? And I've had lots of partners over the years, and I've partnered on projects, I've partnered in businesses, I've done rev share partnerships, I've done actual partnerships, in LLCs and stuff. I've done handshake deals. I've done all sorts of these things with different people. And here's the truth. No matter how much you like or respect somebody, you might not always work well together. And that's okay, right? Like it's not a big deal. It's not a knock at them, it's not a knock at you. You don't have to take it personally like, I couldn't live up to the standard or this or that. Like, you just might not work well together. You both have great ideas and you both have ways that you want to execute it. But you also both have lives in different directions. I remember an early partnership that I had early on in my full digital marketing career, right? I've been doing this since 2008, but I was a hobbyist for a good, few years there before I really went like all in professional. And I had a partnership early on where I just didn't like the way that person talked. They're a great person. I had nothing but good things to say about them, but the way they talked to me had this what I perceived to be a tone to it that I reacted to. And it's, that's my trigger. It's my reaction. But like the truth is like at that stage in life, we weren't going to work well together. We just weren't. Didn't matter how good the ideas were. Didn't matter how much we wanted to do these things. It just wasn't going to work. Right. So it's like, okay, well, that's gotta end because that's what it is. And it kind of just like dissolved away into a certain thing. Right. I had other partnerships where the expectations weren't set clear enough for the opportunity. What are you supposed to do versus what am I supposed to do? And how do I know where those boundaries are? Where is that line? What's the actual agreement? And listen, there was times that I didn't live up to my agreement. I'll just be honest. Like you get in the motion with things, and it's a human thing sometimes that you forget things, you slip on things, or something doesn't get handled right. And people can judge all they want for that. Every single person on this planet has at some point in time not lived up to what they said they were going to do. And I don't mean it to be a pass. I just mean it to be a reality, right? Like, yeah, it's still, you still have responsibility to it. And I still had responsibility to it when I failed to live up to what I said I was going to do, right? Or what the agreement was. And that was a situation where that partner, that partner had to make real decisions, and I don't blame them for it, right? That was the reality of the thing. But I also didn't understand the expectations clearly. And because at that point I was like, oh, we'll just say yes and figure it out later, right? We'll just go barrel into this opportunity and it's going to be a blast. We'll figure it all out. Like, we seem to work well together. We'll get through it. And it's like, once you get into the weeds, you don't really know what to expect. There's this scene in The Matrix. If you remember those movies, they're phenomenal movies. And if you're like, what the heck is The Matrix? Then one, I don't know if we're ever going to get along, just being honest. But two, you should definitely go watch those movies if you like anything that's thought-provoking and interesting from a kind of philosophical standpoint. It's got a lot of really, really great philosophy baked into it, and sort of nature of existence and all of that kind of stuff. Good movies for it. Anyways, done with my little commercial for The Matrix. There's a scene in there where the person that is the protector of the Oracle, I believe was his role, when he first met Neo, the main character, they got into a fight. And the fight was actually like unexpected by Neo. And they went back and forth and did this really cool scene, right? They're jumping around and they're breaking things and, really good movie making. But the core concept in there that applies to what we're talking about is at the end, he says, you never truly know somebody till you fight them. And what that is to me is like, you don't really know the people you're around until you go to war with them, right? Until you actually have to see the ugly side, to see the dark side of them and how that reacts. And I don't mean dark to be negative. Like, we've all got, we all operate within bands of limitation, right? And there's sometimes when people are pushed to an edge, are they going to respond with a degree of respect and decorum, or do they lose their frickin' mind, right? And if it's somebody that's not stable enough to respond with respect and decorum and even get through a tough situation in a grounded way with you because the triggers are too extreme, doesn't matter what the opportunity is or what the vision is, you just can't do it. I remember there was another story. Who was it? It was one of the Shark Tank guys. I forgot who told the story, but maybe it was on a podcast or something. They said, hey, I want to partner with you on a thing. And the person says, well, I can't partner with you. I've never done a project with you. Maybe it was Seth Godin. I think it might have been him talking about that. He said, I've never done a project with you, so I wouldn't be able to even consider partnering with you. And the whole point there is like the opportunity isn't the most important thing. Being able to work together to achieve the opportunity is the most important thing. And there's a way to work with certain people and there's a way not to. And it doesn't have to be a contentious thing, right? I've stepped out of projects because I have respect for the people. I love them. I would be there for them if they asked me for something. But working with them is more of a struggle than it's worth, right? And it's not to say that they're even doing anything wrong, right? They may not be. It just isn't part of what aligns with who I am and what I need to do in the way that I operate, right? And that's okay. So when you're chasing opportunities, there's something really important to consider there, and that is, what is the grounded reality of being able to make this happen? And a lot of times it's really important to have a voice of reason that goes, hey, you're thinking pie in the sky right now, but what happens when you get beat down and you're on your knees and you've got to figure out a problem that you never anticipated? How does this conversation go? Who gets to handle that? Who's the tiebreaker in the decision if it's a partnership, right? Now, there's another aspect to chasing opportunity beyond just partnerships. Let's say there are no partnerships. Let's just say it's you going, oh, I see this vision, and I think this is something really, really great. One, it's very often and frequent that somebody's going to have a confirmation bias, meaning that they're going to believe their own bullshit, right? And I don't mean that condescendingly. It's just we all do that. We all make up stories, and we live through those stories. We live through the meanings that we attach to things, right? Jordan Peterson wrote a book called Maps of Meaning. Right? Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. And the point there is like, because you're excited about it, you're going to have cloudy vision on the reality of it. That doesn't mean you won't succeed. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that you're doomed or destined to fail. It just means that you may not have all of the proper information to get there, and you might get to a point where the vision was exciting and you burn out because the vision, the idea of making the vision a reality is a lot less exciting, right? Because real opportunities are usually built on pretty monotonous work, right? They're usually built on the things that are not glamorous at all. You would never make a documentary of the person that's lives a laptop lifestyle, right? Because it would just be this boring, quiet, manic thing where somebody's, drinking energy drinks and typing on a computer and occasionally going live and talking to a camera, and then there's nobody else in the room. It's like this weird sort of thing that I think a lot of people, side note, I guess, a lot of people kind of got a taste of during COVID when they got this work from home thing, and they realized like, oh, it's lonely to do this, right? Well, crap, you going after an opportunity, you might not have factored that loneliness could actually be a challenge that you have in executing this opportunity. It's just a reality. It's okay, right? So when you're chasing opportunities, a lot of times you can get yourself in a position to consider the opportunity as something more important than the outcome you're looking for. And if you go back to your outcome, here's what I'm going to leave you with, right? I've been ranting about this for 11 minutes. I'm going to leave you with this, and I hope this is helpful. Don't chase an opportunity. Chase an outcome. Fall in love with an outcome, not an opportunity, because I guarantee you, just looking back in my own life, if I wasn't chasing as many opportunities as I was, and I doubled down on an outcome that I actually wanted, I'd have something a lot different than what I have today. And I don't mean that to say that today's bad. I've got lots of great things today, right? But I wouldn't have wasted time on these other opportunities because I would have just said, no, it doesn't meet my outcome, right? So anytime you're presented with an opportunity, I got another opportunity today from a friend of mine that I really respect. And it's like, hey, we should look at this together. This would be a cool business. And I had to immediately tell him, like, hey, I'd love to hear about it. I want nothing but to support you on it, but you have to understand I'm pulling back on opportunities because there's an outcome that I'm looking for right now. This particular phase of my life, I want a very specific outcome, and I'm not going to consider opportunities outside of things that build to that outcome, right? And that's just a stance that I have to take because I've already been down that road taking those things, and I'm hoping that this idea saves you a little bit. So every time you go, hey, I've got an opportunity to, I want you to immediately pair it up against, hey, I have an outcome that I want. If those two things align with each other, then I think it's totally worth exploring, right? Even if there's partnerships and dynamics, you can sort of work that out if it's going to lead towards that outcome. You only get one life, and if you don't take the shots, you don't take the shots. You look back and you go, man, maybe I should have took the shot. And here's the deal. Even if you take the shot and it goes bad, what you learn out of it is more valuable than you can pay a school to teach you, right? Like it's worth more money than any school could ever charge you to try to teach you these lessons, because sometimes you have to learn by pain, but that pain builds you, strengthens you. It makes you something more than you are today. And that's okay, even though it sucks to go through, even though it's miserable, right? If the wrong thing happens. But also, so what? In the grand scheme of life, so freaking what? You had a bad little run, and as long as you're chasing your outcome, you're going to get back up on your feet and you're going to go back after the outcome. Where it can get lost is if you get caught back up in an opportunity, like, oh, I could do this and maybe I could do this. And this happens a lot in this digital marketing space, right? The shiny object syndrome, like, oh, that person's talking about views on Instagram. I need that. Oh, this person's talking about SEO. Yeah, I'll buy that course too. Oh, this person's talking about how to dominate YouTube. I could totally do a faceless YouTube channel. That would be amazing, right? And pretty soon you're looking at all this stuff and you're going, I don't know where to start with any of it, because you're opportunity chasing instead of outcome chasing. So that's what I want you to evaluate: opportunity versus outcome. Anytime you have outcomes, you can reverse engineer a system to get to that outcome. Anytime you have opportunity, the system to get to an outcome is not very well defined, right? So it always has to bridge that gap no matter what. Now, some of you that are more seasoned, you're going to go, well, yeah, of course, like the opportunity has to have an outcome. But I'm telling you, some people chase opportunity without that clear, right? Without that actually defined. So I want you to make sure that you're not doing that. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of energy. I appreciate you watching. We'll look forward to talking to you again real soon. Take care, everybody.